Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Ability Podcast with Damo and Eddy. Thanks for listening.
Damo, stop it. No endorsements, you can't drink it.
If it tastes good, I'll drink it.
Welcome to the show, Stu. How are you?
Yeah, a bit tired this morning.
Bit tired?
Bit tired, but yeah, we're here.
That's how
Which
it
is
is
good.
at the moment, eh?
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Man, good to have you on the podcast to share about your amazing story, to be honest, just an inspiration to me and everyone I think you have in contact with, man. Like, just so many people that I've bumped into along the life and who have met you, and they've always been like, man, Stu is such a trooper and a beacon of hope and positivity, man, despite your challenges. So you guys have just met, hey?
Yeah, then the first question I want to ask you is how you put up with this man.
Yeah.
And what was my response?
How do I put up with him?
That's right.
And I just shrugged.
True.
No, it all comes
And the real question is, how do I put up with me?
Oh.
Really? Oh.
Do you,
A bit too philosophical?
no, do you manage to fall asleep calmly at night?
After a
Then
few...
you-
Look, every once in a while you got to do the breath work because you had one too many coffees at like 5:30 p.m.
I have coffees at 9 o'clock and I'm asleep by 10 past 9.
Damn,
PM?
that's a
Coffee,
gift.
You and my wife would do well.
coffee doesn't
You-
alter me at all.
No?
If anything, I shouldn't drink it because it just doesn't even...
Some people can't have one after 12. Not you.
I used to have one a day and I'd be awake all day, and then now I average about 3 to 4 a day.
Yeah, nice man.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll let you run the
Stu,
ball, go.
the father-in-law to me, man.
Now you've spilled the beans.
I was going to say, you're not my father-in-law, so that's okay. You know, you're his.
Ancestry.com, you know, are we distantly related? Who
Oh,
knows?
we could be.
Basically bros. But
It is Adelaide, isn't it?
Very small. 1 degree of separation.
The world's biggest small country town.
That's right. People still believe kangaroos jump down the main street.
I mean, I rode one to
And it's a dirt road.
I used
by
to
the way.
ride one to school. I'm that old.
I'm not even gonna. Should I? Nah.
I used to sit in the pouch.
I was gonna say that, but you said it for me. Okay. you're.
And this podcast is going nowhere very quickly.
No, that's
No,
right.
that's right.
Okay, back
Stu,
on track.
welcome to the show. Tell us about you, how we met, and then I guess like your journey, man. We're here as like a health and awareness podcast, so we're kind of here to hear a bit about that and your journey, man. So how did I guess we met through the mother-in-law. You guys got married, all that jazz. But you've been on a bit of a journey with your health for
Yeah.
years now. When were you first diagnosed with cancer?
Back in 1997.
Wow,
Been a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, 27 years this year.
27 years of
Mm.
living through the treatments and the diagnosis. Hey?
Yeah, been a long road.
Certainly a hell of a lot longer than some.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the average lifespan of somebody with the type of cancer I have is less than 10 years.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
But I've been proactive with specialists and proactive with seeking information and making sure that, you know, we've been able to obtain the best treatments possible, and the gold standard for treating what I have is basically surgery and radiation therapy. There's no pharmaceutical treatment regime that can systemically treat the whole condition. And
Yeah.
And how many surgeries have you had up until now?
19.
19.
Yeah.
Robocop, I call him, because
You've almost-
Stu's a cop by trade, or one of his trades.
So now he's Robocop.
Now he's
Yeah,
Robocop.
Robocop. Yeah.
You've almost had as many surgeries as I've had, so there you go. Well
Yeah.
done.
Wow.
I'll high five this.
From a distance.
That's it. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, after watching Transformers last night,
Did you?
and they were getting beaten
You're like, oh, I
up.
can relate? Was it like that?
Yeah, I'm a bit like Bumblebee.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
You just keep on keeping on.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Bumblebee had a few struggles.
You do.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
Such a good movie, actually love those.
Mm.
What was it like for you getting that first diagnosis and going through that process, and, you know, what do you encourage people with in that respect, with people with their health? Because, you know, cancer is a thing for lots of people.
It is. Yeah, look, I was only 26. I was pretty naive at the time. I was, you know, going to the gym and involved in a lot of social sport activities, played squash and stuff like that. And I suppose as a 26-year-old, and, you know, it was a shock. It was a shock. It's like, wow, what have I done to deserve this? How did I get cancer? And
27.
When I got the original diagnosis, they said the tumour had been already growing for between 7 and 10 years.
Wow.
They looked at what they call the histopathology of the tumour.
Yep.
It's a bit like cutting a tree
Oh,
trunk
So
and
they
looking
can
at
see
the growth rings.
how many layers it's had.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the same with the tumour. And they said between 7 and 10 years.
So
So-
arguably from 20.
No, even younger.
So probably like
16
17,
to
18,
19.
Yeah.
So when you take off 7 years off 26, that's 19. If you take 10 years off, I'm 16. And what was I doing in those years? I was an apprentice carpenter on commercial construction sites
Yeah.
around Adelaide. And obviously, you know, big building sites, lots of toxic chemicals getting used.
Back then, asbestos was probably pretty rampant in.
Yeah, I think that it was the beginning of the dawning of a new age with asbestos, that people were becoming aware of its toxicity and its effects on humans.
And safety measures probably weren't as prioritised as they are now with
PPE.
face masks and
Glasses,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
safety glasses and goggles and a hard hat. That was your PPE.
yeah.
That was
no matter
it.
what job you're doing.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No matter which roof you're on.
Now they-
Or under.
Now,
Sometimes,
nowadays you
true.
can't even walk onto a site without a helmet and glasses and a PPE on and
Yeah.
everything on.
Got to have all your white cards and all the other training, you know, as far as like health and safety and stuff.
So you get the original diagnosis, a bit of a shock, and you're in this spot of just being like, why me? And then what happens from there for you, man?
Well, that was the beginning of a whole new journey, you know, trying to figure out, well, what does this mean? What is this? It's called hemangiopericytoma. It's a very weird type of tumour. And trying to figure out, well, you know, what does it mean? And I ended up having my first surgery, followed several months later with radiation, and I got rid of that tumour, which was behind the right knee, which is a very obscure place.
Very random.
Yeah, and then I had 10 years of follow-up scans and appointments and follow-up appointments with my oncologist and other, you know, people involved in the cancer side of things through the Royal Adelaide, the old Royal Adelaide.
Yeah.
And I had 10 years post-operatively clear from the disease, which is a really good outcome. And my oncologist said to me, look, you know, there's no need to continue coming to see me. We've got this good outcome. Come and see me if anything changes.
So we're technically you put into that remission category,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never really used that word remission
No.
because,
but that's technically, I guess, what they would have been.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly. And so I just got on with living life. And by that stage, 10 years later, 2007, my life had changed a lot in the meantime, and I found myself in my new career as a police officer
Yeah, wow.
with SAPOL. And I was over on the, where was I at the time? I was discovered to, well, I'm not good at maths, so I'm just trying to count the numbers in my head.
Yeah, the timeline.
Timelines, yeah. But anyway, it was another 7 years after that 10-year post-op period where I
So
woke up.
2014.
Well done. He's the man.
This guy, human
Yeah.
calculator.
Maths is the only reason why my wife married me. So
Yeah, because you're a man, you love your numbers.
Yep, I do.
You do.
Sorry, continue.
So 2014, I was living in Murray Bridge and I was based at Tailem Bend,
Yep.
a small police station in a small country town, 100 k's, southeast of Adelaide. And I woke up and, got out of bed and I had this real striking pain in my gut. You know, like, oh, what's that? You know, who did I fight with? Who did I arrest
How
last
long
night?
had you been policing for at that
At
time?
that stage, 2014, I joined SAPOL in 2005.
Okay, so you've
So
been on the
So
road,
nine-
working full time.
Yeah,
Labour
full time,
intensive for that long.
full shift work, day arvo, night shift for
With
9
the
years.
pain, did you even think about what you ate the night before?
No,
No.
I
That's
thought more
the
about
first
it.
thing I would have gone for.
Yeah,
Like, shit, what did I eat last night? you
yeah.
know?
Totally, mate.
No, I was thinking more along the lines of, you know, the job is a hands-on job at times
Yeah.
as a police officer, and,
Yeah, of course.
and people aren't always compliant, and you've got to go hands-on. And it's not a part of the job I enjoy, but sometimes that's what you have to do.
You have to, yeah.
You know, I'm not
Especially-
trained to do that, and
Yeah.
I woke up and I thought, shit, you know, what have I done? You know, I had this shearing pain, it wouldn't go away.
Tibby is reshaping disability supports by using the human rights model. We believe in delivering support with you, not just for you. Join Tibby, where everyone's unique humanity is valued and supported. Contact Tibby for all your disability support services and click the link to find out how we can make a difference together.
It wouldn't go away. So I went to see my GP. I called in sick and I went to see my GP in Tailem Bend. And we arranged to have some ultrasounds. I was very wary of having too much radiation because radiation is carcinogenic, and all your CT scans and X-rays, you know, the dosage, depending on the dosage that you're given and the frequency, that in itself can bring on cancer. So went and had an ultrasound, and you know what pregnant women would have when they're looking at the baby growing inside.
Put the real cold jelly on your belly first.
That's it.
Yep.
It always sort of jumped to attention, and and then the technician just said, "Look, I'll be back in a minute." And so she left me and came back with the doctor and said, "Look, we found something near your kidney. We'd like to, and given your history with cancer, we'd like to do a CT scan if we could." So I had a CT scan of chest, abdomen, and pelvis, and it showed that I had multiple tumours around in my right lung, my right kidney, and my left adrenal gland was wrapped in a tumour.
So up until that morning when you woke up, you had no idea.
No idea.
That's crazy, isn't it?
You know, so in that period, I had 10 years from the first tumour to when I last saw the oncologist. Then another 7 years, the cancer had kicked off again, but it had metastasised. And I was just living life.
Damien and I, love talking about mental health and mindset stuff, and it's kind of what we live and breathe with work. But what was your mindset leading up to that point? Were you still consider yourself a cancer patient? Were you in the back burner thinking about it, or was it completely off your radar and you just living life?
You know, once you've had something like cancer, there's there's always a part of your life story. Now includes that. And I don't see myself as a cancer sufferer.
Sure.
Definitely, somebody who's endured a lot, and giving up's not in my nature.
Yeah.
And
But you weren't thinking about it a lot for
not
a
at the
long
time.
period there, and then all of a sudden you get this scan and you find out you've kind of got a whole bunch of cancer.
And then you would have had that whole wave of emotion that you had
the first time.
7 years prior to that. So
so I basically had to start the whole process again of being referred to specialists, and how do we treat these, and knowing that surgery and radiation are the only two ways to either control the tumours or get rid of them. My option was, let's just get rid of them. Our bodies are designed pretty amazingly. We're all unique, and we've got two kidneys, so you can live effectively on one, or even less than one.
Yeah.
You might be restricted in certain ways, but you can live well enough with half a healthy kidney.
And a liver can really grow back, can't it?
Well,
So they say.
in the journey, 18 months ago, I had a big tumour, about the size of a small grapefruit on my liver. So I had about 65% of the liver taken with the gallbladder. I've got a scar that comes right across here from where my kidney is and up to underneath my sternum.
Wow.
And my liver has regrown.
That's awesome.
Probably too big now. I feel like it swells a lot. I feel like a fat bastard most of the time. But
Nothing wrong with that.
So you get this diagnosis, and then I guess just treatment sort of has kicked off, and has been.
Yeah, I had to go back into the system of okay, who's my oncologist going to be now? Because the lovely fellow that looked after me for 10 plus years had retired.
Yeah.
The radiation oncologist at the RA. So I got back in the system, found myself a new oncologist based down at Coralta Park, and it was just like, okay. And, he referred me to several specialists in their respective fields to look at the kidney, look at the adrenal gland, back to the lungs. And within the space of 12 weeks, I had 3 major surgeries.
Yeah, wow.
Within 2 weeks of each surgery, I went back to work on light duties. So basically just desk duties, office duties, no contact with anyone. Once cleared, I went back on the road each time.
And SAPOL was very supportive, right?
Oh, very, very
Yeah,
supportive.
it's awesome.
Yeah, I was, like I said, at that stage based at Tail and Bend, but I was brought into the headquarter station at Murray Bridge and basically did a lot of admin work and non-contact with the community where I'm not been put at risk while I'm recovering.
Of course.
I know, Damien, you've been on this journey your whole life with your health and having even like a neck surgery quite young. Is that right?
Yeah, I had a neck fusion done at the age of 8
Right.
because I actually got all tingly in both my arms and my legs.
Yeah.
And it's common for people that have dwarfism and stuff like that. Their head compresses down onto the spinal cord.
Okay.
So the spinal cord got pinched between the two vertebrae.
Yep.
So if we didn't get that fixed, I would have ended up as a quadriplegic.
Wow.
So my
And you were only 8 at that time?
yeah. Just noticed over time, like I started struggling even to pick up a spoon, and just tingles all over. And
So you were losing the ability
yep.
to...
I didn't have much to
dexterity.
begin with, but
Yeah.
the ability that I did have, I was even losing that. So my orthopedic surgeon took a bone out of my leg and my hip and fused it into my neck.
Wow.
So my neck movement is sort of pretty
Limited.
much that.
Yep.
I can't even go back because it's just, he just locked it in and said, you're not going anywhere, and that's it. And
Yeah.
left hand's fine, this arm never really, like no tingles or anything, it just doesn't do much.
Right. Okay.
But I'm certainly a lefty.
Yep.
And like my reason for mentioning that is I know you've developed a skill in advocating for your own care almost as soon as you were old enough to have, to
As
have
soon as
your
I had
own
a voice
personal voice.
yes.
Yeah. So I guess from both of you, like, what's your advice for people advocating for your health and your care in a system where you have doctors and nurses and all these specialists who are specialists in their field, but you better than anyone in many ways. So have you got any specific stories around that and how people should be navigating their care? Because sometimes I think people feel a bit lost in the system or hopeless, or it's traumatic as well to go through all the systems.
Absolutely.
And it's exhausting emotionally. So how do you do it, and what's your stories?
You go.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, look, by the time I had this second round,
Yeah.
I was a little bit more aware, having known what I went through the first time, and I'd done as much research as I could about my condition at the time. It's just like, well, surgery and radiation is the gold standard for treating this.
Yep.
So, working with the new oncologist who had a fascination with the very rare nature of this type of tumour, it was decided that radiation, given that, left adrenal gland was wrapped,
Okay.
right kidney had this big tumour growing adjacent it, radiation could probably affect those organs quite badly. That surgery really was the only option, and the same with the lung.
Okay.
And so, we discussed things and worked out that probably, I needed to see surgical specialists in those respective areas, and that would provide me with the best outcome possible. So, it's, finding ways to communicate, with the specialists, and not all people are good communicators,
But
let
not all-
alone
not all
surgeons
doctors
or
work in
doctors.
sales.
Yeah.
And not all doctors are salesmen.
No.
They're just almost like bookworms.
Yeah.
And they're not people.
No, they're not, and they're good at what they do,
Yeah.
but maybe not a good communicator.
They're not great
As I say, a lot
identifiers.
of specialists just don't have that bedside manner.
No.
They're not there to make friends with you. They're not there and they're only there because of what they've been taught. That's
Yeah.
it.
And you've had that for a lot of your life.
Yeah.
Eh?
I've had people tell me, "Oh, you can do it." I'm like, "No, I actually can't."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and they're the ones that just make themselves end up looking a bit silly.
Yeah. Well intentioned, but probably quite naive.
Yeah.
Naive is probably the best word to use.
Yeah.
To keep it polite. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with my neck surgery, when I was recovering, the rehab for me was worse than the post-op and all that. Beyond Plan Managers help make your NDIS journey simple. With Beyond Plan Managers, you can experience personal, quick support from a dedicated team. No big call centers, no hassles. Beyond Plan Managers will handle the admin so you can focus on what's important. If you're looking for a seamless NDIS experience, Click the link in the description and choose Beyond Plan Managers.
Really?
It was just terrible because half the stuff they wanted me to do I couldn't do before my surgery anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like they wanted me to squeeze a squishy ball, you know, just to get the strength back in my hands. I couldn't do that before my surgery anyway. You know, and I said to them, I can't. They're like, oh no, you can do it. Come on, try harder. I'm like, no, I actually can't.
It's not a matter
My
of
disability doesn't actually allow me to make a fist with my hand. So then I said, well, let's try this. So we just put our hands against each other and did the old push and pull thing.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, well, you didn't ask, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've run into, you know,
Yeah, at
things like
times.
that. Like
At
certain
times.
things like that.
But I think, you know, I think we've progressed as a society. We were learning to listen more, you know,
Absolutely.
and advocacy is really important. Now, I was a single fellow for nearly all of these years that I'd been diagnosed with cancer. Had been married before, but the reoccurrence had happened while I was single again.
Yeah.
After that marriage had ended, and so, you know, I went through this experience on my own. So, you know, whilst I didn't have anyone emotionally that had to join me on the ride at that point, I still had to sort of navigate my way and work with these new specialists and make sure that we're all on the same page. Yeah, and then 2 years later, you know, I would have checkups every 3 to 6 months, and probably within about 6 to 9 months, it showed that tumours had started forming in both my lungs. And so, 2017, I had 2 lung operations to basically remove all those tumours, and it was the year that I met Christine, and went through that whole process. And by that stage, I'd sort of had a team of specialists that I was in a good working relationship with. So they understood me and I understood them. I think I think it all boils down to the fact that, you know, I'd done my research about this condition. I've gone in informed, but not everyone has that ability. You know, you think of people that come from different cultures, have different languages, who don't speak English, where English is the primary language here, and then going into a specialist room, maybe with their partner, they might be elderly as well. How do they navigate that? Who advocates for them so they're fully aware of, are we making the best decision possible? Or are we just going to go along with what the surgeon says? And is what the surgeon offering the best choice that's available?
And that right there is something I've always had to consider for myself. I've always had the opportunity to have operations to straighten my back, straighten my arms, etc., etc. But there's always that chance it's not going to make me better. If anything, it could make me worse off. And I was always given that option of, hey, we could do this, and, you know, sure, you might be able to sit up straighter, but if they put rods in my back, I'm not going to be able to do that. And I rely on this ability to be able to reach that. Whereas if I'm stuck back here, no hope in hell. So they were the sort of, as a kid and a teenager, I had some really big choices to have to make. So like for me, sure, it would have been great to sit up straight and be 3 inches taller and not have so much pressure on my lungs and back and all that. But with me having such short arms, I couldn't afford to lose any reachability that I did have. So I completely understand that whole.
You've got to figure out, you know, and weigh up what's best for you.
And as you know, as I'm sure you know, some surgeons get a little bit happy choppy and they want to do surgery just because. You know, they think they can make it better for you, but it doesn't always work. So yeah, I completely understand what you're talking about.
I know you've been on a bit of a faith journey as well, which a lot of people that I know that bump into you, Stu, just kind of like, you know, share their experience of how resilient you've been with things, man. And I think your faith has sort of helped shape a bit of your mindset towards life and how to approach this stuff. Do you want to share a little bit about how that's supported you through this?
Well, I haven't always had faith, and that came about.
Because you're staring down, the barrel of death at times, literally, if I'm going to just say it bluntly, right, in the hospital setting.
Yeah, true. I mean, as this journey has progressed, that reality of finding myself 6 foot under is a lot more in my face now than it's ever been. And I'm only 53, and I think, I've still got a lot of good years left in me. Up here I'm all clear and willing and,
Totally.
but my body is slowly becoming less able, to do the things that I once, I now survive on crutches, and I've got a walking frame as well.
But in saying that, 15 years ago, when you were told, you could have just curled up into a ball and given up then.
Well, I could have. Yeah.
And a lot of people do.
They do. And I suppose from a faith perspective, some people, refer to having to others maybe having a faith as a crutch, something that they just hang on to. And I suppose for me, it's become, it's not just a crutch. Like, I don't grasp onto it.
Like some fairy tale.
Yeah.
But if it brings you a little bit of peace and solitude, then why not?
Yeah, it does. And, faith gives me hope that I suppose the Christian faith gives me hope that each and every one of us will come to the end of our road at some point.
Absolutely.
And, Christianity offers the hope that, Jesus died for a reason, and that reason allows us, when we face that same position in life, that for those that choose the faith and choose to walk the Christian faith and to honour that faith, that there is more to just this physical presence, that there's an inner being, an inner person, an inner soul that I suppose has more value and has the opportunity to live beyond the temporal nature of our bodies, because our bodies are only temporary. We're all born and then we all die.
Exactly. We start dying the minute we're born.
Well,
basically.
Yeah, we reach a peak and then we come.
It's, I, to be honest, and I don't mean to seem morbid, but I do consider the realities of death, not like on a super regular basis, but I do ponder the concept. Some people, I think, just ignore it and don't even want to think about it. But I do ponder that reality philosophically, and not in like a morbid way, but in like because I think it shapes how you live the day.
Absolutely. For people like...
Some people are like, I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, and they never do.
Yeah.
But you have to, because it is reality. And, in my lifetime, or not even my lifetime, in the last 20 years, I've lost 18 people, that have either been family or friends or whatever.
Significant people in your life.
All significant, whether they be a best friend. I've lost 2 brothers in my lifetime. My foster mum died. So, and some have been cancer, some have just been illness or disability related. My foster mum was just due to age. If you don't think about death, like, I haven't had the choice, because it's always been there. And it's just one of those things. I don't, now I've got 3 kids. My eldest is nearly 17. And I've always sort of said to myself, I know eventually I'm going to die, but I don't want to die until I know my kids are old enough to look after themselves. And that's my whole outlook on life. I know it's coming. I know it's coming. It is for everybody. Even smiley people like him.
No one's immune.
But until my kids are old enough, I'm hanging around.
There's that fight in you, in a sense. Because you hear those stories of like people that once they find out something, they also a part of them that just mentally switches out.
Absolutely.
And I'm no neuroscientist to the studies of that, but I've watched your mindset as to when you get a new update or you look at what you can and can't control. I hear you reset your mindset and say, we've got 3 family trips coming up this month and I've still got to finish the garden. You know what I mean? So I better get out of hospital quick. You know what I mean? So it's that mindset.
And always adding something to that list for you to do before you do leave. And I used to do stupid shit and go like, if I make it to 40, I'll be happy. If I make it to 50, I'll be happy. I'm now 46, because I had friends that were dying in their 30s. So for me to hit 40, yay.
Yeah,
You know, it's
a milestone.
and I just have that mentality just because of being so heavily involved in the disability sector. It's hard not to have that mentality.
Yeah, but you're probably one of the. Well, I'd say there's a lot of people that are driven, that have a sense of purpose in life. And that sense of purpose gives them a reason to wake up every day.
Yeah, and my
And to
reason
get
is my wife and
involved.
kids. That's it,
Yeah.
and maybe him.
Oh, cute. I can't bail on him. We've got a podcast this week. I love that, bro. I love that.
It's good. And so you met your wife while you've been going through this whole journey?
Yeah, we met a long time ago through somebody that Eddie had a significant impact on, through his own journey and his own crisis with drugs and alcohol.
Yep.
And Christine and I met as a result of this young fella going through rehab, and he actually came up and visited my little church in Murray Bridge on Sunday morning, and the CEO of Teen Challenge plucked him out of the group of the motley crew that were there, the boys
rehab
that come from
program
Teen
that was
Challenge,
visiting,
and asked this young fellow to give a testimony. So I won't mention any names, but he was an Aboriginal lad.
Yep.
So he gets up and he shares this testimony, and he sees me sitting in amongst a very small congregation, and his eyes, he's like a possum that's been caught out in the middle of the night. He's just got bling, he's like, And anyway, he knew me as a police officer because I'd had to deal with him and his extended family on a number of occasions. And police are the bad guys, everyone hates us. And
Of course. Yep.
anyway, after the service, I went up to him and I went to shake his hand to congratulate him on the positive choices he was making about wanting to live a better life. Right? Get away from the petty crime and stay away from all of the things the bad choices that have led to bad outcomes. So I congratulated him, and he'd mentioned that he wanted to get baptised, that he'd found Christ for himself, so he'd found a personal faith. And I said, well, that makes us brothers. And he looks at me, he said, but you're a cop, aren't you?
Yeah.
And I said, it doesn't matter what I do, but what matters is that we now share the same faith.
Because being a cop is just a job. It doesn't make you who you are.
No, that's right. It's what I did, but it wasn't who I was.
Exactly.
But naturally, he was only a teenager at the time.
It would have been hard for him to wrap his head around.
Yeah, so suddenly he's viewing me in a different setting, in civvy clothes, nothing to do with police. He's been given the opportunity to have some freedom because he'd been in prison at that stage and was given respite to come through this rehab program. And anyway, I said, no, well, that makes us brothers. So it doesn't matter where you've come from, doesn't matter where I've come from. What matters now is that we're going to walk together. If you're going to get baptised, you just let me know where and when, and I'll be there to support you.
Yep.
So from a faith perspective, I had the opportunity to encourage this young lad. And I went to his baptism and he saw me. Well, at the end of the service, bear hugs and all that sort of stuff, and so he got to see me in a different light. I went to his baptism, and Eddie would have been there. It was the old chapel in Gilberton, and so he's come up and given a bit of a testimony. He's about to get dunked in the baptismal bath, and we're all standing there. And he was given the opportunity to sort of confess his faith openly amongst everyone. And on one side of him was the local chapter president of the Long Riders Motorcycle Club, Christian Motorcycle Club.
Yep.
Full on tats, big beard, big burly bloke from Murray Bridge. This young Aboriginal lad, and this clean-cut, white-skinned,
Copper.
Christian copper on the other side. Yet we're all Christian, which made us all brothers. So it didn't matter exactly where we came from, it's where we're going.
For him to have that new perception as somebody in recovery from addiction, and to publicly confess the challenges he'd faced, and that people, there just wanted to support him.
Yeah.
To do well. Baptism aside, like, people just wanted to see him succeed.
And to be there and to support, support's the very important part, because you can't do it on your own.
Yeah.
Of course not.
And so the three of us were a ragtag bunch, full house. He gets baptised. I made a video for him based on his experience, put some music to it. And then I'll never forget on a NAIDOC march one year, a couple of years after that, all of the Nunjiri from sort of around the Coorong and up through the Murray Lands and Murray Bridge come marching across the Old Town Bridge from the east side into Murray Bridge.
Nice.
And it was a bit of rain falling. I was at work that day. I had my high-vis yellow tunic on, like the big bright yellow, looked like a...
BHA is redefining disability supports with a focus on human rights. BHA is committed to providing education and accreditation by using our lived experience to enhance the lives of people with disabilities through a human rights-based approach. Our team of dedicated practitioners aims to transform the sector by elevating human rights as a benchmark. So join BHA in creating a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Click the link to learn more about our mission and how you can be a part of it.
Canary. And I hear out of the crowd, Stewie! And I turn around and there's this young lad, now a young man, and he comes straight up to me, big bear hug.
Yeah.
I've got a full uniform on.
And you know, he's hugging this cop in front of all of his community.
In front of all his community, in front of all of the rest of Murray Bridge.
Yeah,
Whoever was there celebrating NAIDOC saw this and it's just like, hey brother.
So it couldn't have been a more picture-perfect moment for the fact that it was NAIDOC week anyway.
Yeah.
And the relations between cops and Indigenous isn't the greatest.
But it extended beyond
Yes.
that. Yeah. White fella, black fella.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, we all bleed red.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what you're sharing there, like, just summarises who you are as a person, like, so well, that story, eh?
Yeah, and you
That's
know...
why I wanted you on here, for sure.
Yeah, so, you know, and it was our faith, our shared faith, that enabled that, I suppose, and brought us together.
Yeah.
And if I saw him out on the street today, I'm sure there'd be the same sort
Same
of
big bear
response.
hug, yep.
Yeah. So,
So good. And somewhere in the crowd there at the church, there was a lady who might have been eyeing you off.
yeah.
Coming back to your original
My
question.
original question.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well,
That's
yeah, and that's true, that's true. And so there was a connection because Teen Challenge had a small base in Murray Bridge.
Which, for those listening, is the rehab program's name.
Oh yes,
Yeah, so
Teen
yeah,
Challenge,
keep
you
going,
say.
keep going.
Incorporated. Anyway, so my wife, well, then we weren't married, but Christine had sort of met me, and
So what year was this?
oh gee, this would go back to
Eddie.
about.
Don't know, bro.
Okay.
This would go back to about. This actually goes back to probably before I was diagnosed that second time.
So it'd be like,
2013.
it'd be
Should I
10,
ask the
11.
boss myself? I'll ask her after.
Yes, you
yeah, at
can.
least
ask her.
11 years ago.
It was a while back.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But then we had no further contact. As in, like and I mean this sincerely, I was there for this young man that
Yeah.
night, and anyway, we had no further contact until 2017 on June the 6th, I think. And if I get that wrong, I'm in big trouble.
That's all right, man.
Christine, was it June the 6th?
Fourth,
4th?
I've just been told.
She stuck
Four
4th.
fingers
Is that
up.
what you did, see?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in trouble. I've got to walk home. It's a
Okay.
long walk.
I'll get on the back and I'll give you a ride.
Good work. Probably get home quicker. Anyway,
So then you reconnect. Right?
yeah, we reconnect. I was hiking
Nice.
up Mount Lofty and back down with one of my closest mates and
And
his
let me
wife.
guess, you sprained an ankle to get her attention, right?
Oh, close.
It wasn't quite that romantic, but
Yeah.
How
anyway.
my ankle...
Anyway, Christine was also doing the trek, but we're on the down track when Christine was coming up, and we crossed paths. She remembered my mate Rocky because she'd been checking me out on Facebook through our common friend in Murray Bridge. She was spying on me.
Getting her side of the story.
Oh yeah. Anyway, she'd seen Rocky, and I was a bit further back because I love taking photographs. So I'm taking some panoramic shots of Adelaide
Lofty's awesome.
from Mount Lofty.
Yeah.
And have you ever driven up to Mount Lofty?
Yeah, no, the wheelchair doesn't allow it.
It's pretty
Has someone else
accessible
driven
now,
you up?
though.
In a vehicle, I have been up there,
Yeah.
yes.
You know, there's that road that takes you up and it takes you into the car park, and it
Yes.
sort of winds around Cleveland National Park and
Yes,
gets to
yeah.
Summit. Well, we met just above that. Christine had run to we crossed paths. I was going down, she was going up, and I just said, "Oh yeah, you're not far from the top, you know." Anyway, Christine remembered me, but I didn't remember her.
Shame.
Yeah, huge shame.
Yeah.
She gets to the top, turns around and makes a beeline By this time, I've crossed over that road, gone down a little bit further, and there's a little stone cottage on the side. That's actually Mount Lofty Cottage.
Okay.
Don't confuse it with the big old grand Mount Lofty house.
Yep.
Anyway, I was just by that cottage on the track, walking down, and Christine pulls up alongside me. She says, "Oh, you're Stuart. You're at so-and-so's baptism, the one that we just spoke about before." And I looked at her and I said, "Who's this good-looking chick? And like, how does she know me? Like,
And why are you talking to me?
yeah, like everything she brought up was factual, so she must have been there." So we walked and talked all the way to the bottom.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, makes you all mushy, doesn't it?
It's a movie. It's a
It
movie.
is.
You know, you could write this stuff.
No, you couldn't.
It's good.
But
So you was, at that point, you
I was
was...
single.
That's not what I'm asking.
Oh,
What were you going to say?
You had already gotten back onto the cancer journey then, or was it before?
well, in 2017, I was soon to have those two surgeries on my lungs.
Yep. So,
So
when,
that was coming up.
Yep, so you guys started catching up a bit more often after that lovely walk.
Well, when we got to the bottom of Mount Lofty, we didn't even change phone numbers or email addresses. We didn't even say, "Oh, you're on Facebook" or anything like that. So,
She was already stalking you anyway.
well, she knew me,
Exactly.
but I didn't know her. Anyway, we get down to the little cafe. I go around to order some coffees for my friends. And Christine comes around the corner a couple of minutes later to grab a coffee before she heads off. Like, "Oh, hello again," because we'd already said goodbye. And I said, "Why don't you come around and have your coffee and meet a couple of my lovely friends?" So she did. At that point, I said, "Oh, are you on Facebook? You know, it's non-threatening. You know, it's not like giving out a personal phone number or an email." And she said, "I am." I said, "Oh, I'll look you up." And then we parted ways. And you think by the time I got home I could remember her name? I got a head for faces,
Just not for
but
names.
not for names.
Damn.
So you could describe exactly what she was wearing and what distance she was, what direction she was going in, but not her name. Is that right?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, the Who's Done It lineup.
Yeah.
That's the crook over there.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, so I then had to go and look at our common friend list before Facebook gave the option of locking profiles.
Yep.
And then, it's Christine. There she is. So I sent her a message.
Oh, and the rest is history.
The rest is we got married in December that year.
And so, obviously you got married. When and how did you tell her about everything that you were going through?
Christine, pretty much, you know, I share my journey publicly on
Yep.
Facebook.
Yep.
You know, just to inspire people that, you know,
Yeah.
when you're going on this path, that it may be hard, it may be troublesome.
So it wasn't a case of, hey, before we get serious, I need to sit you down, and
Christine was already aware.
she was all
Yeah.
up in
Yeah.
it already, huh?
Finish what you were going to say then about it might be hard, but
It might
what
be
do you
hard.
encourage people that are on the same journey?
It might be hard, but, you know, just like, you know, but life still goes on. And I think when we think about disability and ability, like, I don't see you as a disabled person, you've just got different abilities.
Thanks.
And my abilities are changing,
Of course.
and the cancer has changed the way I've had to live. And as hard as that is, you know, in the last 6 months, my abilities have changed dramatically,
Yep.
which has been quite frustrating because I'm a hands-on guy.
Of course.
And I love being practical, and I love getting out in the garden and doing garden projects, and
But again, you just have to readjust and
And-
make it work.
yeah. And now the cancer's through my skeletal system, I can't lift anything. I can barely bear. I've got to be certain types of chairs are no good for me because the cancer's in my sacrum, in my pelvis.
Yep.
That's why when I sat in this, I thought, "Oh, this is a nice chair. I'm going to take
That's
one of these
why
home
when
with
we
me."
got here, I actually asked if that chair was okay.
Yeah.
Not for comfort, but I was more scared of you, because it's on wheels, I was more scared of you
Skipping away.
sitting on it and it moving away from you.
Yeah, well, I suppose you got a crane around here. You could lift me up.
No.
But yeah, so, you know, like, things do happen to all of us, but, you know, we've all got different scenarios, different things happen to us throughout life, but life goes on, and sometimes we just got to learn to adjust.
Absolutely. And as I said earlier, you can either lay down and curl up and die, or get up and keep moving.
Well, that's a choice, isn't it?
It is a choice.
But I think having wonderful support around you, whether it be family, friends, you've got a good network of medical professionals that you trust
Yeah.
and that you can communicate well with.
And you know,
You
it's
seek that out as well.
It's exactly the same for disabled people. Like whether it's an acquired injury that gets you in a wheelchair,
Yeah.
or you're born like it, you know, like I was. And even for someone like me, I could sit here every day and, you know, be absolutely mad as hell at the world, you know, and hate God and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't change anything.
No, it doesn't.
So why
Why
waste?
waste that energy?
It's actually a waste of time and energy.
Yeah, why waste all your time just being mad at the world and just enjoy what you have?
Exactly. It sounds like you'd be the sort of person that I would refer to as, you know, glass half full.
Yeah.
Is it half empty or is it half full?
I do have an opinion on that too.
Yeah.
If it was full when you started, it's half empty.
True. True that.
If it's empty when you fill it, then it's only half full.
What are you trying to say?
But I only got a glass.
I'm just saying.
I only got a glass that was filled with air anyway. So for me, it's half full.
That's exactly what I just said.
So you're saying no matter how your situation looks, it's all just depends
If
on
your
how
glass
you
is
choose to look
full
at it.
when you started, and now it's halfway down, that means it's half empty.
Empty.
If it was empty when you started and you fill it halfway, it's half full.
Yeah, so what are you trying to say? What's the takeaway?
I
from the
am
riddle?
I am neither. I'm just. It is what it is. What it'll be, it'll
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
Yeah.
I get you.
Well, you know,
Don't question me like that.
I'm trying to understand your riddle. There was a riddle there, and I felt like it was like
No,
some
it
sort of
wasn't
like.
a riddle. It was just
Oh,
straight
it's a bit of
up.
like no,
No,
but it is a
it's
bit
a-
of like a. It is a bit of like a quirky quote.
No,
Say
see,
it to me
he
plainly.
gets it.
well, I get it. But I suppose in a different way to you, though, I still appreciate that glass that is half empty is still half full.
That's right.
Even if
matter which way.
even if it has come from a different direction.
At least it's still got something in it, right?
Exactly. Make
Yes.
the most of what's still in it.
That's right.
Yeah. So, you know, and the faith has given me that. Again, has given me a sense of encouragement that there's, well, pardon me, I might not be able to do this anymore. I might not be able to participate in this anymore. But how else can I participate in life? How else can I contribute to the community that I live in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get that. I understand all those frustrations as well. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I've lost abilities over the years that I used to be able to do that I can't now, but it is what it is.
And, you know, finding that inner peace to be at peace with that,
Yes.
you know. So, yeah, just making the most of opportunities as they arise.
Absolutely.
And,
And you're a grandfather now.
yeah, to 3 lovely little rat bags.
Is there something you
They
haven't
are
told
lovely,
me?
aren't
Is
they?
there something you haven't told me?
From the other people in the family.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
3
making
beautiful
sure.
little boys.
Cool, man.
Cool.
And,
Unlock a seamless NDIS experience with Plan Partners. Say goodbye to paperwork hassles and hello to quick reimbursements and exclusive benefits. Our app and online dashboard make managing your NDIS funds easy, ensuring you maximize every dollar for the supports you need. Choose Plan Partners for expert advice, simplified fund management, and a focus on your goals. Click the link in the description to get started.
they bring life.
They do.
They do.
They do. The innocence and excitement of a child.
Uncle Eddie.
And at least you can hand them back at the end of the day.
Well, yeah.
That's it.
Sometimes you have them overnight.
Yeah, but you can still hand them back
The next day.
eventually.
No, I look very, very blessed, I suppose, to be able to participate in their lives, you know, and to know that they feel safe in the context of our family.
Yeah.
They look at us and it could be Uncle Eddie, it could be Grandpa, you know, and yeah, that brings a real,
Another achievement unlocked in your life.
yeah, and, you know, biologically they're not mine,
Yeah.
but sometimes there are bonds that transcend the familial bonds.
Yeah, but what's family anyway? Like, it doesn't have to be blood,
No,
sure.
it doesn't.
you know? And that's someone speaking from, you know, the outlook of growing up in a foster family. We weren't blood related at all, but
No.
we're still family.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Any finishing thoughts for us, man? It's been so good having you on. There's going to be some listeners who are in a similar situation to you as well, who
Absolutely.
might not have felt even as much enrichment or purpose or people around them as they go through this journey. So and I know at one point you were alone in that on your own. So
Yeah, I was.
any finishing thoughts for our listeners and
Yeah,
people in
look.
health, people that are going through this stuff?
I think it's really important to have a good network of people to support you on your journey. You know, whether it's something that you know from day one when you're born, and as you grow, having that network around you is really important because you know doing life on your own really is tough, and it can suck.
Yeah.
You know, when you're on your own, and so to have that support, and you only might need 2 or 3 close people around you that provide that support that brings fulfillment, and that you're not alone in the journey.
Sure.
But also to, you know, if you're able to advocate for yourself, do your research on how does this disease or how does this condition get treated? Sorry.
Or medication.
Yep. Or meds. Yeah. Or pharmaceutical options. How does it work? What's the best option for me, and what am I prepared to do?
Cool.
Yeah, but you know, I suppose just when you do something, do it as with someone who's made an informed decision.
Absolutely.
Don't go in blind, and whether somebody else is advocating for you to help you along, be part of that support group, or whether you do it on your own.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say I love you. Thanks for
Likewise.
coming on.
And I'll
Yeah.
say,
And I really appreciate your stories today, and what you shared is like a reflection of just how you've just been such a blessing to so many people, man, and how many people you've helped along the way, and you haven't let this circumstance that's been with you for 20 plus years define you. You know, you've been such a great witness to people that have struggled. So
Thank you.
absolutely, and I won't say I love you, but I think you're pretty cool.
Oh, likewise, mate.
these guys have just met.
Been a
I
pleasure.
mean, we didn't meet on a hiking trail, but you know.
Yeah, well, could
you know,
happen.
that's right.
Could, yeah.
Well, I was.
the day is still young.
I had to pick up my pace to follow you down that passage.
Yeah, well, I'll just make sure I go a bit faster so you can't catch me on that hiking trail. But it's been awesome to meet you and chat with you. And
Likewise, a
again,
privilege.
Eddie, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next time,
Thank
bro. Thanks, Stu. Peace.
And cut.